Napoleon Bonaparte just called Alexander the Great overrated, and now Alexander is typing. This is about to get ugly. Picture this. It's 3 a.m. and Napoleon can't sleep. He's scrolling through Twitter, seething with rage because everyone keeps comparing him to Alexander the Great. Finally, he snaps. He tweets, "Alexander the Great? More like Alexander the Lucky. Dude inherited the best army in the world from daddy and fought armies with spears while he had the phalanx. I built an empire from scratch. We are not the same." The tweet goes viral instantly. 20 million impressions in an hour. The ratio is coming. Alexander wakes up in the afterlife, checks his phone, sees he's been tagged 8,000 times. He reads Napoleon's tweet. He laughs. He quote tweets with, "Bro really tried to invade Russia in winter and lost to snow. I conquered from Greece to India and never lost a single battle. You lost Waterloo. Sit down, short king." The internet explodes. Napoleon's mentions become a war zone. Someone drops the crying, laughing emoji. Someone else posts a photo of Napoleon's height with the caption, 5 feet 6 inches and fighting for his life. Napoleon is furious. He tweets back, "I was 5 feet 7 inches actually, and I rewrote Europe's entire political system. You died at 32 from either malaria or poison because you couldn't stop drinking. I lived to see my own downfall. You never even got the chance to fumble. Check the difference." Alexander fires back instantly. "You literally crowned yourself emperor because you were insecure. I was declared a god while I was still alive. Pharaohs bowed to me. You got exiled. Twice. To islands. Embarrassing. The timeline is in shambles. History students are screenshotting everything for their essays. Meanwhile, Winston Churchill is watching all of this unfold while sipping brandy at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. He's been waiting for this moment his entire afterlife. He tweets, "Watching Napoleon argue about legacy is rich considering he sold Louisiana for pocket change because he was broke. Imagine conquering Europe but losing to American capitalism." Napoleon doesn't respond. He can't. Churchill violated him with facts. But Churchill isn't done. He's been sitting on years of material and his real target just logged on. Adolf Hitler posts a tweet. "Leadership is about vision and strength. History remembers the bold." Churchill sees it. He cracks his knuckles. He quotes the tweet and says, "History remembers you lost a world war, lost to a British island you couldn't invade, and lost so badly you spent your last days in a bunker eating canned food while I was drinking champagne in Parliament. The only vision you had was blurry. You literally had one eye on the prize and still fumbled. Absolutely tragic." The tweet gets 40 million likes in 3 hours. Hitler's account goes silent. He tries to delete the app. Too late. Churchill keeps going. "You really thought you could take Russia in winter after watching Napoleon fail at the exact same thing 70 years earlier. That's not bold, mate, that's just poor pattern recognition. Did you not read? Were the history books in German too complicated?" Someone in the replies posts a GIF of a funeral. Another person just types "violation" in all caps 50 times. Churchill lights a cigar, takes a screenshot, and posts it with the caption, "Ratioed by democracy." Again. But now Saladin has entered the chat, and he's got his sights set on Richard the Lionheart. Richard tweets, "Crusades, one of history's greatest military campaigns. We took Jerusalem and showed the world what courage looks like." Saladin quote tweets immediately, "You took Jerusalem for 5 minutes, had a tantrum when you couldn't keep it, then begged me for a peace treaty while pretending you won. I literally sent you fruit and ice when you were sick during the siege because I felt bad for you. You're welcome, by the way." Richard tries to recover. "I fought you face to face with honor. That's more than most leaders can say." Saladin doesn't hesitate. "You executed 3,000 prisoners at Acre in front of my army and called it strategy. I freed Christian prisoners and sent them home. We are not the same. Also, you spent more time in England fighting your own family than actually ruling. Your brother John took your throne while you were out here losing wars. Tragic." The replies are ruthless. Someone posts, "Richard the Lionheart? More like Richard the Elheart." Another writes, "Saladin really said, 'Here's some fruit,' and still won the war. Cold-blooded. Genghis Khan has been lurking this entire time, watching everyone argue. He finally tweets, "Y'all are really fighting over cities and territories? Goo. I conquered 12 million square miles. That's 16% of the entire planet. I have 16 million living descendants. I didn't just win wars. I became a genetic legacy. You're all fighting for second place." Alexander tries to respond, "You had horses and composite bows against farmers." Genghis replies, "And you had the Sarissa and heavy cavalry against Bronze Age armies. What's your point? I connected the Silk Road, revolutionized warfare, and created the largest contiguous empire in history. You couldn't even make it past India without your army crying to go home." Napoleon jumps in, "At least we have statues." Genghis tweets back, "I specifically ordered no statues, no paintings, no idols. I didn't need my face everywhere to prove I existed. My empire spoke for itself. Y'all needed PR teams." The thread gets quoted 70,000 times. Someone makes a tier list. Genghis is in S tier alone. Julius Caesar has been watching from the sidelines, eating grapes, mildly entertained. He tweets, "Imagine arguing about legacy when I literally have a month named after me and my death was so dramatic they made it required reading for 2,000 years. July. You're welcome." Cleopatra quote tweets him instantly, "You're only famous because I made you interesting. Nobody cared about your bald head until I gave you a glow-up. Also, you got stabbed 23 times by your own friends. I went out on my own terms with an ASP and became a legend. We are not the same." Caesar tries to reply, but she's already blocked him. The internet crowns her the winner. Someone posts, "Cleopatra said, ratioed by a snake," and logged off. Icon behavior. Attila the Hun tweets from a verified account with 0 followers and just says, "I burned Rome." That's it. No follow-up. No thread. Just those 3 words. The tweet gets 90 million impressions. Nobody dares to reply. Even Napoleon stays quiet. Churchill nods in respect. Alexander favorites it. Genghis sends a salute emoji. Rome's official Twitter account posts, "We're still here though." Attila responds 9 hours later, "Barely." The account deactivates. Catherine the Great is in the replies having the time of her afterlife. She tweets, "Men will conquer 3 continents and still have worse diplomatic skills than me. I expanded Russia, overthrew my husband, and became one of the most powerful rulers in history without fighting a single battle myself. Strategic brilliance over brute force. Always." Peter the Great, her predecessor, tries to challenge her. "I built St. Petersburg and modernized Russia." She responds, "You built a city on a swamp and forced thousands to die doing it. I built schools, reformed legal codes, and actually made Russia a cultural power. You were just tall and angry." The timeline gasps. Someone replies, "She woke up and chose violence." Another posts, "Peter the Great? More like Peter the Grabbed." Napoleon tries to get back in the mix. He tweets, "At the end of the day, empires fall, but the code I created still governs half of Europe. The Napoleonic Code is my real legacy." Hammurabi appears out of nowhere. First tweet in 4,000 years. He posts, "You mean the legal code? Goo. I did that in 1750 BC. You're 3,500 years late. Also, mine was on a stone pillar. Yours was on paper. Weak." Napoleon deletes the tweet. The screenshots live forever. Shaka Zulu hasn't said a word this entire time. He's just been posting gym videos and training montages with captions like, "Discipline," and "Legacy is built in silence." Someone tries to drag him into the drama. "Shaka, what do you think about all this?" He responds, "I revolutionized infantry tactics, created the most disciplined army in African history, and expanded my kingdom against European colonizers with spears against guns. I don't argue with people who needed cannons to win. I'm different." The tweet gets pinned by the algorithm. No one disputes it. The final tweet of the night comes from Marcus Aurelius. He's been silent the whole time, meditating, writing philosophy, ignoring the chaos. But now he posts, "You're all arguing about who conquered more, who fought better, who's remembered longer. Real power is mastering yourself. I ruled Rome at its peak and still found time to write about inner peace. Try that. Everyone stops. The timeline goes quiet. Churchill favorites it. Alexander retweets. Genghis nods. Even Napoleon screenshots it. For 5 seconds, the internet is peaceful. Then someone replies, "Okay, but you still had slaves." Marcus logs off. The chaos resumes immediately. And that's the thing about history. The battles never really end. The arguments never truly stop. They just change platforms.